Hi, this is Billy Tarasio with Modern Law Practice, and today I'm here with my co-founder, Chad Burton.
Hi.
Hi. So today we're going to talk about the top 2 things that you can do that will make a bigger difference in your law firm growth, bigger than anything else. And those 2 things are gathering your baseline data and figuring out where it is that you would like to go. If you have those 2 things, then you can start building a plan that will get you to where you want to go. And that's kind of what Modern Law Practice is all about. So, Chad, why don't you tell everybody what Modern Law Practice is about?
Sure, Billy. So Modern Law Practice really has 3 components. One, we have a plug-and-play law firm model where we work with firms around the country to automate the processes and procedures along with technology to achieve those goals that we were talking about, that Billy was talking about earlier. Second, we have an intake system, Modern Law Intake, where we are your outsourced intake to handle bringing in potential clients, getting them scheduled, doing follow-ups, taking payments, all that kind of fun stuff. And the third thing is we're doing workshops, which are kind of pared down versions of each of those. Those are 3 things we're doing.
Yeah, so the concept is that law firms don't really have a super high functioning business model. Most of us lawyers are not operating all that efficiently. We're leaving money on the table, and we're not really serving the public because we know that, roughly 70, 80, maybe more % of people with legal needs aren't coming to lawyers. So, 86 current number, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of numbers.
To be exact, so, 86%. And growing.
Bottom line is we have a ton of room for opportunity, and all of us are so disjointed. We're doing it on our own, and there's nothing that's really collaborating the best practices so that we can all stop experimenting on the same things. So Modern Law Practice entire philosophy is let's collaborate and figure out these best practices and implement them so that we're not all floundering by ourselves. And that's really every single step of the process. How do you get clients? How do you find clients? How do you secure them? How do you operate? How do you hire? How do you grow? How do you scale? What should your financial model be like? How do you know what your pricing should be? It's all of it. But
it's a much more intentional approach than most people go about.
It's a very, very intentional and structured. Absolutely. And the workshops are a DIY version, and the full plug-and-play law firm model is us getting all up in your business, really assisting with every single aspect of growing your firm. But if you are doing it yourself, and most of us are, then there's 2 things that you can start with that will get you started. Like, before you do anything else, stop buying the shiny tech, stop spending money on advertising. Number 1, figure out your baseline data. And that means first, okay, what are we going to measure? And I think that what you need to measure is how many leads are coming to your law firm, how many of those leads are coming in to see you, how many of those leads are becoming clients. What is your client conversion? Second, so that's like one group of data. Second, what does your average client spend in your law firm? This will allow you to do some multiplication and figure out your projected revenue. If you just start here and get these baseline numbers plus Net Promoter Score, which I have another video about, I think that is an excellent starting point for data. And Chad, why don't you tell them exactly how to get this information?
Good question. So that's tricky. It can be. It depends. It requires a lawyer answer. It depends. Sorry. Awful. It won't get better. Don't worry. It really depends on where you are as far as how you've been tracking data in the past. Where's your law firm? So if you're starting a new firm from scratch, great. That's easy. Maybe you have some historic data from a previous job, or probably not. But most people have been operating a firm for a period of time, and we see about roughly half have some idea of baseline data, but oftentimes it's just not known. So what we do is we actually go back in and dig into the technology that's being used. So if there's some practice management software, cloud-based practice management, time and billing, we'll go back in and dig up numbers that way. Learning about leads and conversions and things like that. We've we've actually sat down with firms and have gone through calendars with them, and because and hopefully consultations have a special label, but often they don't. But really just going back through maybe 12 months of calendars to understand how many clients are coming in, and then also diving into what are their lead sources. One of the things we have found that's pretty fascinating and maybe not surprising is that firms are getting a lot of leads that they aren't processing and capitalizing on. And so, for example, one of our clients, when we were establishing baseline numbers, actually had done a good job intentionally of having some numbers and an idea of what those leads look like and conversions and things. But we were told, the baseline number is about half of really what it was. So in month one of working on intake and following up on every single lead quickly as it comes in the door, twice as many leads were being processed, which led to twice as many clients hiring the firm. Like literally $50,000 worth of found revenue that was already coming in, it just wasn't being capitalized on. So when Billy talks about the fact that there are some certain things that you can do and tweak and look at right away, it's really easy. So
it really is. It really is. But you need to know where to start. So to determine your baseline leads, you might have a spreadsheet. You can go there.
Yep.
If you don't have a spreadsheet, maybe you have a CRM that you've been capturing information in order to put people in a lead nurture campaign. So you might be able to export it that way. If you don't have that, that's okay. You probably do have the number of consultations that you met with somewhere on your calendar. You probably have it. So you can probably get it that way, and it's worth taking 12 months to figure out what your average is. You also know your new clients. You know how many people have hired you. So if you just take the number of new clients divided by the number of consultations that you met with during your year, now you've got a conversion rate. You also have a way to figure out your average client spend. You know how much money you made in a year. Now, you can get very detailed, which is what we do, or you can just get a rough idea by taking, okay, I know my average client length is roughly whatever it may be. Let's say one thing that you can do that I did that wasn't that far off was I took the total number of clients I had in 1 year and the total revenue, and I divided it. And that's not the best way to do it, but it's a good baseline, all right? So that's part one, figuring out your baseline KPIs. Part two is figure out what you want to accomplish. And this means actually having a goal. I talk a lot about vision and values planning, but really what this comes down to is what are you trying to accomplish? Where do you see yourself? What do you want to do? What do you want to be in your firm? What do you want your firm to look like? Start with a 10-year plan and then work your way backwards. But if nothing else, figure out in 1 year, where do I want to be? Because if you figure out your baseline KPIs and where you want to be in 1 year, now simple tweaks and a little math, and you can actually meet your goals. You can now be under control. You can control your law firm and not just be constantly reacting to things that are coming your way.
And it allows you to do things like when you're thinking about the clients that are coming in, and you look at that average client spend, some of these intangibles that will affect that revenue number is you're probably bringing clients or allowing clients to hire you that are just not good fits for their firm because it looks like it might be okay. Well, once you start diving in and looking at who are the best types of clients for your firm, then you can start turning people away. And that sounds scary to some people, but it actually will help you make more money because you're not wasting time on clients that you're just not going to get the same experience out of and the same revenue out of. And it's also going to help you with, and we'll dive into this in more detail in other videos, but these same types of numbers also help you figure out how to grow your team and how to hire. Mm-hmm. Billy, knows that if X number of clients come in, new clients come in each month, then she's going to have to hire a new attorney. Mm-hmm. She knows those numbers because she's dove in and looked at that.
There's real fun and power in data. Kind of geeky, but it's kind of fun. So we will continue making videos for you, but it was good to talk to you today. Bye.